The 2015 regular season has come to an end, so we are here on Franchise Nation Radio, not only doing a monthly recap, we are doing an end of regular season recap. 2015 is over, and our Yankees, our beloved Yankees, have not made the playoffs yet again. Finished the season 80-82, 2 games under 500, 18 games back in the AL East, behind those Red Sox that just ran away with the division, and 9 games back in the American League wild card, so not exactly a great shot down the line. Didn't play too well in September. They would win 1 game in a series and then lose the other 2, win 1 game, lose the 3 in a 4-game series. It just wasn't exactly a good stretch in September, and they ended up falling out of the playoff race. So that is why we are here today talking about the end of the season and not hyping up the playoffs. The Yankees were quite interesting at the plate this year. Alex Rodriguez, the most hated man in all of Major League Baseball, led this team in average with a .300 average, which is also 6th in the entire American League. 15 home runs. That also led the team, a low number in the home run category. Trinidad Beltran probably took away that. A-Rod being hurt for a decent amount, and then just down in power numbers all around the team. 15 isn't exactly what you want to see leading your team, but that's what they got this year out of A-Rod. And he also was a 3-way tie for first place in RBI with 60. Once again, a very low number in that category. Home run RBI, not exactly the strength in the team this year in single players, but they did not exactly finish toward the bottom of the half in the RBI category throughout the league team-wise, so it was kind of spread out throughout the entire team. 2 of those guys it was spread out to was Brett Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury guarded the 1-2 at the top of the order. Ellsbury hit .276 on this season, 11 home runs, 60 RBI, and 56 stolen bases. He led the entire Major League Baseball with stolen bases, 56 on the year. Of course, obviously led the team, so he led the team in stolen bases, led the team in hits, doubles, triples, runs, and he had a 3-way tie going for RBI with those 60. And then Brett Gardner, the number 2 hitter, also had a great season. .285 average on the year, 10 home runs, 60 RBI. Once again, he is the 3rd member of that 3-way tie. 36 stolen bases, which is 2nd on the team. And it is also 3rd most in the American League. And as far as the bats that didn't do well this year, Chase Headley, Brian McCann, Didi Gregorius are the 3 that come out to mind. Didi Gregorius, mainly because he's the guy who, as much as you don't want to use this phrase, taking over for Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter retires at shortstop for the Yankees. The guy who's taken over to start at that position is going to be held to a certain standard. And well, Didi Gregorius held that standard on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, not so much. Didi hit .233 on the season, only 4 home runs. You don't really expect too many out of Didi. 36 RBI in 122 games. The .233 average, not exactly good at all. I know he's a bottom half of the order hitter. He was hitting around 9 or 8 all season long, but still, .233, that's just not acceptable. Brian McCann, .241 in the season. Now, he did miss a decent chunk of time, about 2 months on the season. He only played 81 games on this season. Hit .241, like I said, 13 home runs, 52 RBI. Hopefully, if he gets a full healthy year in, those numbers will improve. They are up. The average, at least, is up from 2014, his first year of the Yankees, so that is definitely a plus for Brian McCann, being the cleanup hitter. And then Chase Headley, once again, same story with Didi. He was great on the defense, just wasn't so good at the plate. Only hit .234 this season, only a point higher than Didi. 12 home runs, which is not bad, which is top half of the team. 43 RBIs, once again, not too bad for a lower half of the order hitter. But he did play in 137 games, and the RBI category was low on the entire team, really. So the home run RBI numbers aren't really too bad, but that average, .234, you want that to be up, especially when you're paying a guy the amount of money you're paying Chase Headley. Flip things over to the pitching side of things for the Bronx Bombers, and the number 1 guy leading the team in appearances in pitching this season was David Carpenter. 70 games appeared at a 7-3 record, a 3.27 ERA, 88 innings pitched. In those 88 innings, fanned 99 batters. That is a quite really good ratio. David Carpenter was clutch in that bullpen this year in that middle relief role. Then another man who was clutch, the 9th inning guy, the closer, Dellin Betances. 52 saves on the season. He was first in the American League in saves. With those 52, a 1.01 ERA, which is easily said the lowest ERA on the team. 53 innings pitched, 57 strikeouts. Strikeout numbers down from last season, but still a very, very solid year for Dellin Betances. Only blew 3 saves and picked up 52. Andrew Miller, that 8th inning setup guy, 32 holds on the season, a 2.65 ERA, which is the second best ERA on the team. 71.1 innings pitched, 82 strikeouts, 3-2 record on the season. Then we move on to the next guy in the holds category, another middle relief guy who was quite the surprise. 3rd best ERA on the team with a 2.67 ERA, and Jared Burton. 10 holds, 10-4 record with 72 innings pitched and 57 strikeouts. Jared Burton was the guy who started off the season in AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and when Esmiel Rogers and Chris Martin struggled, they had to do something, so they ended up calling up Jared Burton, and he got the job done. With those stats, 3rd lowest ERA on the Bombers. And the starting rotation is where things got a little bit down in the pitching this season. Masahiro Tanaka, the guy you expect to be your clear-cut ace. Only 11-12 on the season. Now, you don't exactly look at wins and losses and that record to determine how good a pitcher was. A 3.67 ERA, which once again, with Tanaka, you want to see lower than that as your ace. 33 games started. Now, the strikeout numbers, those were up there. He was 2nd in the entire American League in strikeouts with 224 in those 28.1 innings, 18 quality starts, 4 complete games, and he was also 4th in the American League in whip. Nathan Eovaldi, arguably the 2nd best starter on the team this year, 10-14 on the year, 3.66 ERA, which is actually a lower ERA, better ERA than Tanaka. 32 games started, 129 strikeouts, and 189 innings pitched. Not exactly good strikeout numbers. He gave up a lot of hits on the season, a lot of hits, most on the team. 16 quality starts and 3 complete games for Eovaldi, the former Miami Marlin, and the Texas-born kid. Then a guy who was quite the disappointment was Michael Pineda. This guy has yet to have a full healthy season in the big leagues, 5-9 on the year. Not exactly what you're looking for there, with a 4.58 ERA, and that was the highest ERA on the team other than Michael Pineda, who was quite bad to start off his first few starts, returning from Tommy John, but settled down quite nicely to end the season. Pineda's 4.5 ERA, 21 games started, 125 innings pitched, 122 strikeouts. And Pineda has dropped from a B potential to a C potential, so not exactly what the Yankees wanted to see out of Michael Pineda, especially him being their go-to number 2 pitcher. Pineda, in fact, actually pitched so bad down the stretch that he lost a starting spot in that rotation when they were trying to get into the playoffs, and they went with a 5-man of Tanaka, Eovaldi, Nova, Adam Warren, and then Brian Mitchell, who Adam Warren and Brian Mitchell actually pitched quite surprisingly well during the entire season. Mitchell, not the entire season, but pitched quite decently in AAA, got called up, put in the rotation, and pitched quite well in the major leagues in that 5-hole in the rotation while they were dealing with injuries, people who weren't pitching well. So if this team does want to turn things around from the 2015 season, which you assume they do, that's the goal of every team, they are going to have to beefing up that starting rotation to get some more depth in there, because with Tanaka and Pineda, during their durability is so low, Nova's durability is so low, you don't know if they're going to bring him back or not. They're going to have to sign some guys to be in that rotation, and also some guys to store in AAA for some depth. Now it's time to take a look at the end of season awards. MVP in the American League is Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels, the Millville Meteor from Millville, New Jersey. Cy Young in the American League, David Price of the Detroit Tigers. Batting title goes to Joe Mauer. What year is this? Led the American League with a .345 batting average, was raking all season long, 11 home runs, 63 RBI, and even at 436 OBP. Joe Mauer flashing off old school Joe Mauer. Reliever of the year goes to a guy from New York. Dellin Betances, leading the American League in those save categories, picks up Reliever of the Year award. And then Rookie of the Year goes to Mariners left-handed starting pitcher Tyler Olson. flip things over to the National League, and we've got Giancarlo Stanton, who wins the Most Valuable Player award, Giancarlito, over there in South Beach for the Marlins. Cy Young in the National League was Max Scherzer. He was signed from the Detroit Tigers to be a part of this Nationals starting rotation that was hyped all offseason long and definitely provided for this Nationals team to get them into the number 1 spot in the National League East. While the batting title in the National League is another New Jersey guy, we've got Tommy La Stella from New Jersey of the Chicago Cubs. Reliever of the year in the National League is Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod. K-Rod and Joe Mauer are winning awards here in 2015, flashing it back to like it's 2008, 2009. And Francisco Rodriguez not only just won that award, he led all of Major League Baseball in saves, 57 saves for those Milwaukee Brewers in the NL Central. And then Rookie of the Year in the NL, also from the NL Central, is Jung Ho Kang, the Korean, the man from South Korea.
The man from South Korea, Jung Ho Kang.
Another thing worth mentioning at the end of the 2015 season, of course, are the retirements. So those will scroll down your screen as we talk about David Ortiz and Ichiro Suzuki. David Ortiz obviously spending the first part of his career with the Twins and the majority of his career with the Boston Red Sox, winning World Series there, being their cleanup guy, their DH. And he is now a member of the Hall of Fame. David Ortiz, welcome for the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, as well as Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro did not collect 3,000 hits, unfortunately, but he was close enough, and he does get inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. So David Ortiz and Ichiro Suzuki, wearing Boston Red Sox and Seattle Mariners caps, respectively, will be entering Cooperstown. The last thing we are going to touch on here in the end of regular season update video is the one thing you cannot leave out of an end of regular season update video, and that's the playoffs. Playoffs! We're going to start things talking off with the wild card team from the American League and the National League wild card teams, correction. In the American League, it is the Kansas City Royals making the wild card for the second straight season, and then the Baltimore Orioles, who were the wild card team coming out of the American League East. And then in the National League, they've got the Miami Marlins out of the NL East and the St. Louis Cardinals, who finished second in the NL Central, taking on each other in the wild card. And in the American League, the winner of those two teams is the Baltimore Orioles, taking the game over the Royals. Royals do not move on, and the Orioles will be moving on to the ALDS. In the National League, the St. Louis Cardinals come out on top over the Miami Marlins, and they move on to the NLDS. So the ALDS looks like the Orioles move on, and they take on the Boston Red Sox. An AL East matchup going on there in the ALDS, and then the other matchup, the two teams who got byes are the Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers. In the National League, you've got the St. Louis Cardinals, who moved on from the wild card, taking on the Washington Nationals, winner of the NL East. And then the two teams that got byes in the Milwaukee Brewers, the winners of the NL Central, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, the winners of the NL West. And in the American League Division Series, the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox fought it out in 5 games, but the Orioles come out on top. They knock out the powerhouse Boston Red Sox. Red Sox go home first rounded, and the Orioles move on to the championship series for the second year in a row. The other series between the Detroit Tigers of the American League Central and the Seattle Mariners of the American League West. The Detroit Tigers sweep the Seattle Mariners, and they come away with a 3-0 sweep. They move on to the ALCS to take on the Orioles. So Orioles, Tigers is the ALCS. That's set. In the National League, the Cardinals moved on from the wild card to take on the Washington Nationals. In that division series, they fight it out in 5 games as the St. Louis Cardinals edge out the Washington Nationals. The NL East, that power-headed rotation, and Bryce Harper was not enough for them to move on as the Cardinals move on to the NL Championship Series. The other series, Los Angeles Dodgers and Milwaukee Brewers, also fought it out to 5 games. And the Milwaukee Brewers come out on top in that one. Los Angeles Dodgers, despite that extremely high payroll, the highest in baseball, have been first rounded in the playoffs. So they're going home, and the NLCS is going to be St. Louis and Milwaukee, a matchup of NL Central teams. And now in the championship series, we've got the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Detroit Tigers, and the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Milwaukee Brewers in the American League. The Baltimore Orioles came out on top. They swept those Detroit Tigers, come out 4 games to none. They're moving on to the World Series. They're AL champs. NL, St. Louis Cardinals, Milwaukee Brewers. The St. Louis Cardinals prove that they're the better team coming out of the wild card, win 4 games to 1 in the NL Championship Series. And we've got a Baltimore Orioles, St. Louis Cardinals World Series, the Battle of the Birds, and they take it to 7 games. Hard-fought 7 games, and the Baltimore Orioles edge it out. They come out on top in the World Series, and the Baltimore Orioles win the World Series. They get past that peak of the ALCS they had last year, and they win the World Series. They're the best team in all of baseball. 2015 World Series champs from the AL East in our Yankees division, the Baltimore Orioles. And with that being said, that'll wrap things up here on Franchise Nation for the end of regular season update video. We've gone over the playoffs, we've gone over the Yankees end of season stats, we've gone over the awards, and we've gone over the league leaders. And next time here on Franchise Nation Radio, we will be diving into the offseason to see who this Yankees team is going to bring in, who they're going to let go, and who this team is going to be fielding in the 2016 season to hopefully get on the quest to number 28 here in the Bronx. With that being said, I've been your host, JerseyBorn, and I'm saying goodbye.